Putin scrambles to save face and territory after Ukraine's unexpected invasion. The Russian commander must explain how his intelligence chiefs and border guards failed to stop thousands of troops from pouring across the border on the 9th day of combat. Putin seemed to be doing well at home and abroad. After Ukraine's dramatic border offensive turned Putin's conflict around and left his army racing to recover its own land, Russia is the battleground. It's a surprising turn of events following a year of Putin's short-lived rebellion, solid economy, and months of grinding gains on the front lines. At a crisis conference with top officials Monday, the Russian leader sounded practically furious as he pledged to squeeze the enemy out of his nation and warn Kiev of a worthy reaction to its Kursk offensive. Russia remains united, he declared. He claimed that the troops have accelerated in eastern Ukraine. Russia's border residents will be well cared for. Putin faces one of his worst times as president, with a foreign power invading Russia for the first time since World War II. He is outraged that something like this could have happened, said RUSI research fellow in Russian and Eurasian security Callum Fraser. He often justifies the invasion of Ukraine with Russian security. I think Ukraine's entry into Russian territory humiliates him, Fraser told NBC News. Putin's Kiev adversary taunted the region's centrality to the fight. 24 years ago, there was the Kursk disaster, the symbolic beginning of his rule, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in an Instagram video message Monday, referring to the 2000 Kursk submarine sinking, which Putin was criticized for indifferently handling. His fate is evident now. Kursk 2. His war's failure. Putin's turn is shocking. He won a landslide election in March to extend his rule for another 12 years. His forces were advancing on Ukraine's eastern lines while Kiev awaited U.S. aid. His geopolitical fortunes looked to brighten when former President Donald Trump was leading the polls before Joe Biden dropped out. Just weeks earlier, Putin joyfully welcomed the spies and assassin he brought home in the largest prisoner swap since the Cold War. However, with combat in Russia continuing for an 8th day, Putin must explain how his intelligence chiefs and border guards failed to stop thousands of troops from crossing. Ukrainian soldiers posed joyfully in front of road signs and install Ukrainian flags in border communities in videos geolocated by NBC News. Ukraine claims the daring operation captured 1,000 square kilometers, 386 square miles, of Russian territory. Burnt automobiles and garbage litter a road as smoke rises. Fraser said Putin's first major speech on the incursion on Monday indicated a considerable shift in the tone of voice from his usual placid approach in such talks. He said, "You can sense that he is genuinely afraid of the fact that Ukraine has made gains." Over 2 decades in power, Putin has developed a reputation as the only guarantor of peace and security for the Russian people. Analysts say the last few days have changed that. Certainly, it's tougher today for Putin to present the image of a Teflon president, said Chatham House senior consulting fellow Keir Giles. Growing public fury is another issue. Since the incursion, thousands of ordinary Russians have fled their border homes. Putin promised them 10,000 rubles, $107, but several people have complained about the pace and scope of aid without criticizing Putin. Nothing exists. Everyone seems to have flown to another world, leaving you alone. On Tuesday, an elderly man named Mikhail informed Russian state media from an evacuated location that the birds stopped singing. Shells flew over the yard from helicopters and planes. What could we do? We abandoned everything. After losing their houses and escaping under fire, Sudza villagers filmed a video plea for the president requesting help. State media has touted Russian attempts to push back the Ukrainians, while influential military bloggers have questioned how Moscow was surprised. Giles said Putin's Monday appearance was remarkable for a president who normally hides during crises and emerges afterward. He continued, "What he does next, of course, will depend on how the situation on the ground progresses. There are several possible objectives that Ukraine might pursue, and it's up to Russia to react and contain the damage."